So here's a challenging one. And the topic of this is on ending empathy. Now, especially when somebody has been in an incredibly painful situation, when they have actually been in trauma, in order to connect with them, in order to help them feel valuable, loved, cared for, we feel empathy. So somebody's been hurt, damaged, and they're feeling really low. Life has done, something has actually happened to bring them to a very low point. In order to meet them and help them feel valued, safe, connected, because it feels, when you hurt, it feels very lonely. No one can ever understand, be with you, connect with you. You are utterly alone. So in order to deal with this, we go and we join them, and this is called empathy. And in empathy, we help them understand that we're still with them in their pain, in their loneliness, in their desperation. But here's the thing. Once we have established that connection, we need to move on. That sounds like you're abandoning them, but you're not. Because here's the thing. Once we have met them, once we have connected with them, once they understand that they're not alone, that there is connection still for them in this reality, if we stay with them, we are now holding them in their trauma. Because if they try to move on without us, that feels like abandonment. Getting well, when somebody is there giving you empathy, feels like they have abandoned you. Because you're already still wounded, you're in that place. The only way you can give them permission, support, and help them move on and not enable them to stay hurt is once they feel connected. Once you've established, and for most people, this may be just moments. So you may actually sit there and connect with them for 5 or 10 minutes, and then you move on. Now, I'm not saying you go all the way up to your highest. No, you go out and you party and you do all that. No, you move up. And then you allow them to move up and meet you. And once they do that, you move up some more. So somebody comes in here, that is very sad. That is very painful. That is one of the worst stories I've ever heard. I'm really sorry that you're hurting like that. Would you like dinner? Now you're back on the healing path. You're no longer sitting with them in their pain. Because if you sit with them, you now hold them there. You reward them for staying in their pain. And you make it so that it's loneliness, it's pain, it's separation if they start to heal. Does this mean that they're always going to be ready to move on with you? No. And the truth is, you may have somebody, if this was a serious loss, you may actually go and reconnect with them. You may go and offer that empathy multiple times. They may be in this grieving process. They may be there for days, weeks, months. But if you stay with them in the grief for months, you're actually holding them in it. So you go in and you would check in with them. Yes, you are still hurting. Would you like dinner? Would you like something else? No, okay. And then you do your thing. You may be around them. You may go somewhere else and do this. But you don't stay with them for days and weeks. You check in with them. You help them feel totally connected, totally heard, totally respected for 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time. And then you move on to something healthier and allow them to come up here and meet with you. Now, here's the thing. They don't need to be done with the grieving process. So they may only move up with you for a half an hour. They may only move up with you in time to have a meal that's not about pain and sadness. And then they may go back to their grieving process. Great. That may be it for the day. So you may have a joke, you may have a smile, you may watch a movie together. You may give them a break. They join you in something healthy, a non-grieving activity for 5, 10, 15 minutes, maybe a night. And then they may go back to their grieving process, and that's okay. You're not here to stop their grieving. You're not forcing them to come up and meet with you. You're just allowing them a good, healthy connection that they can stay in long enough while they do something healthy so that they can move up for whatever time frame they desire to move up, and then they can go back until they finish their grieving process. If you go back and immediately connect with them, then in grief on a regular basis, so you go back 2 days later, and if you start in at the low grieving level, you may actually bring them down to grief again in order to connect with you. So you need to check in with them. If they're at grief, connect, validate them. And validation may not be, you have a right, you do this. Validation may simply be, I see you, I hear you, I understand you. And no matter how long this takes, know that I will continue to check in with you. Now, the other thing this does is this preserves you from going into burnout. If you stay in grief with them the entire time you're with them, you're not going to be able to stick around. You're going to have to abandon them because you won't be able to handle that kind of grief for a sustained period of time. But come in, check in with them. When you're ready, you move on, come up here, invite them, give them space, give them room if they desire. If they don't, you take care of you. And when you are stable, when you are healthy and okay, come back and check in with them. If they're still here, go ahead and meet them where they're at. And you can set your own time limit. I can do this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Some of us may be able to do it for half an hour. And then you go on and you live your healthy life at your level. And then you come back and check in with them again. If there's any questions to this, if you can understand this, if you don't have a good model of here's the things I do to stay healthy on a regular basis. If you're somebody who's a workout freak and you say, I love doing this all the time, this is what I do. I come in, I check with you. I see you're depressed. I see you're unhappy. Would you like to go running with me? No? Okay. Well, I'm going to go running. If you want to go running with me, let me know. You may be a foodie. I'm going to go have a nice healthy meal. If you want to eat with me, you can. No? Okay. And then you do this. But you need to know your own things to be healthy. Invite them to join you. Don't force. And keep doing this until there's a greater desire to join you than it is to deal with pain.